Someone once stole $4,000 worth of cakes from us. And man, does this story make me so mad. Last Christmas, we received an order from our online store for a bunch of cakes and cupcakes. About a month later, we received a notification from our online store saying that the order was paid with a fraudulent credit card. We tried to argue with the customer's bank by showing them that we actually delivered their order to the correct address. However, it wasn't grounds to get a refund for using a fraudulent credit card. The bank refunded the $4,000 back to the original customer, and we lost all the product that we delivered. Welcome to the world of owning an online business.
This is why when something seems too good to be true, it probably is. Once a newly married couple was searching for houses they could buy, and they came across a beautiful house with a suspiciously cheap price. They couldn't see anything wrong with the house, so they just thought they got lucky. They moved in quickly. But one day the husband was walking down the hallway when he found a red crayon on the floor. He thought maybe the previous residents had left it behind, so he just threw it out. The next day he found another red crayon lying in the exact same place. This time he asked his wife about it. His wife looked shocked. She confessed that every day since they've moved in, she's been finding red crayons in the hallway too. Then the husband tried to tap on the wall at the end of the hallway and heard a hollow sound. He began peeling off the wallpaper and found a sliding door behind it. It was as if someone had tried everything they could to keep anyone from finding this door. He tried to open it, but the door was nailed shut. Then he took a hammer and pried off the nails one by one. He opened the door to find a small room with words scribbled in red crayon all over the walls. It said, "Mommy, I'm sorry, let me out," over and over.
Esta es la historia de cuando pisé popó, no de gato, no de perro, de persona. Sí, de un persono, de verdad. Horrible. Ay, bueno. Un día iba a abrir la pastelería, era muy temprano, y yo vi que había una bolita allá afuera del mural, en la calle, una bolita, una bolota, era como una plasta así gigante, y dije, ay, no sé qué será, ahorita lo limpio, vamos a abrir. Y en lo que salgo, estaba entregando un pastel, no me acuerdo qué hice, pero iba caminando con prisa y que se me olvidó la existencia de la bola y que la piso, me resbalo, ya sabes, así como Goofy, que pisas algo así como si hubieras pisado una cáscara de plátano, así casi me caigo, no, horrible, con mis Converse rojos que no puedo volver a usar nunca más. Pero en ese momento yo no sabía que era de humano, ¿ok? Ya, en ese momento la tuve que limpiar porque imagínate que abriera la pastelería y todo oliera horrible. Ahí me pongo a tallarlo con escoba y dije, esto no está normal, esto no es una popó normal. Fue justo cuando me meto a revisar las cámaras y te platico en la parte 2 qué pasa.
Is the baker wrong to cancel the order? Customer, hey, I just wanted to make sure we're set for my cake on Saturday. Yes, I'm so excited to create this cake for you. Perfect. I do have some concerns I wanted to address. I saw you posted a cake today, and I wanted to make sure mine wasn't going to look like that. You ordered a completely different style cake. I'm not sure what you mean. I just feel that cake's not your best work. It looks rushed and the design's not appealing. I'm paying a lot for this and want quality work. That's how the customer wanted the cake and she loved it. If you're not a fan of my work, you can cancel the order. I feel like you're getting offensive for no reason. I just want to make sure I don't get an ugly cake, like the one you posted. I feel like maybe I'm not the right baker for you, so I'm going to cancel the order. Are you serious? How will I be able to find another baker in time for my son's party? If you can't take constructive criticisms, you shouldn't be in business.
Not to be dramatic or anything or to be that guy, but I am one of the biggest SpongeBob fans. I am obsessed with that show. And with that being said, I literally cannot explain to you guys how excited I was to get this order. My client was very specific, but also gave me a lot of freedom to do kind of what I felt would look best. Basically, she requested to have some iconic SpongeBob moments around the side of the cake. So naturally, I did the Goofy Goober's cap, handsome Squidward, Patrick from that iconic scene in the SpongeBob movie. And then I did the face that SpongeBob does when he's like, "You like Krabby Patties, don't you, Squidward?" Then she very specifically requested to have Patrick double cheeked up on a Thursday on the top of the cake, so I made sure to make his butt as bubbly as possible. That part is also from the movie where he's like flying over the crowd and he's like, "Go SpongeBob!" And I was thinking about it and decided I definitely needed to add some jellyfish to the side of the cake as well. Look at Patrick's butt, it's so cute. Also, I way undercharged for this cake. I really thought it was only going to take me like an hour, and it ended up taking me 4. I was 3 hours in at this point. I, of course, had to add in all of these SpongeBob Under the Sea flowers. I added some cute little bubbles all around the cake as well, just for some filler, some white sprinkles to add more of like the bubbly sudsy effect. I added edible glitter, duh, like you guys know me already by this point. Then she wanted the cake to say, "It's all about you, girl, on your 28th birthday." Because Boys Who Cry is equally as iconic as anything in SpongeBob will ever be. Anyways, this is my favorite cake literally ever today. I hope you guys love it as much as I do, and I hope you have a good day. Okay, love you, bye.
What's up guys, Enzo here. So, kwento ko lang yung nangyari sa akin last year. Yup, last year pa siya. So, there was this one customer na nag-order sa akin ng cake. Maayos yung transaction, nag-down payment siya, nagawa ko yung cake, and na-deliver din yung cake. But the thing is, kulang yung bayad niya. So, during that time, medyo minimal na lang talaga yung communication namin with the customer kasi busy rin siya on her day. And last na usap namin is about the finished product lang. Usually, hindi ko talaga nire-release yung cake unless fully paid na yung customer. Pero since ayoko talaga nakaka-disappoint ng customer, sabi ko, sige, later ko na lang isipin yung full payment. Nag-down naman na siya, ipapadala ko na yung cake para at least on time siya dumating. So, ayun, dumating na sa venue yung cake. Nag-usap na kami ng customer actually and nag-send siya ng payment kaso kulang pa din ng 2,000 pesos. So, ang sinabi naman niya sa akin is ipipay niya after the event kasi kulang daw yung laman ng GCash niya. Kaso, hours turned into days, into weeks, into months, and wala pa din siyang nabibigay na payment sa akin. As in, everyday ko siyang mini-message, puro scene, puro ganito sir, ganyan, mamayang gabi po pagka uwi ko. Pero wala talaga, hindi talaga siya nagbayad. Ako, sobrang dali kong kausap when it comes to cake budget. If ito lang yung budget mo for that cake, pero ito yung gusto mong design, we'll try to find ways na pasok sa budget mo yung cake design na gusto mo. Basta, wag lang tayo manloloko. Kaya kay ma'am, sana naaalala mo pa rin ako. Charot. Kaya bati natin siya ng happy birthday. Nag-birthday na po siya ulit. Sana masarap po yung cake nyo ngayong birthday nyo. Kaya to all the bakers out there, wag niyo akong gagayahin. I know it's partly my fault, pero responsibilidad din talaga ng customer na magbayad siya ng full payment kapag na-receive niya na yung magandang product, di ba? By the way, hindi ito yung cake ni ma'am. Ito yung biggest cake project ko last year na same design din dun sa cake ni ma'am pero 2-tiered lang. And lesson learned na talaga siya sa akin. Hindi na ako magre-release ng cake unless it's fully paid.
Who is the most disturbing individual you have ever met? To this day, I have no idea if my dad did it. I wouldn't blame him if he did. A week or so before my 10th birthday, I walked to the corner store with a $5 bill and picked up a jar of ragu for my mom. On my way home, a man I'd never seen before fell in step with me and began talking. "Hi," he said, cheerfully. "My name is Dr. Ramsey. I'm a pediatrician. Do you know what a pediatrician is?" I walked along silently, not replying and fervently hoping he would take that as a sign he should leave me alone. Subtleties were not his strong suit, though, because he kept right on chattering. "Are your parents looking for a pediatrician for you? Of course, you're almost a big girl now. You'll be needing another kind of doctor soon, won't you? That's okay though. They can still bring you to me until then. What's your name? You have beautiful hair. I was just on my way to get some suckers for the candy jar in my office. Do you like suckers?" Thankfully, we were nearing my house, so I ran forward, up the back steps and through the kitchen door. I didn't know it then, but that was the beginning of a very long, very scary ordeal. It didn't take long after that for Dr. Ramsey to begin showing up. At first, it seemed benign enough, at least to a kid. He would drive by nearly every day, smiling and waving. I told my mom, who said maybe it was on his way home from work. But then, the phone calls began. My dad called me into the living room, and sat me down. He asked about the day Dr. Ramsey followed me home, and if I talked to him. He said I wasn't in trouble, but that I needed to tell him the truth. I told him no, and he asked if I was sure. I told him no again, and he frowned, then asked, "Then how does he know your name?" I didn't know. It turns out, that was not all he knew. He knew my sister's name as well. Pretty soon, neither my sister nor I were allowed to answer the phone. He called several times a day. At first, neither of us knew what he was saying. Then, one night, one of my brothers told us that he was telling my parents that he was going to hurt me, and later my sister. Things got complicated after that. My dad had called the police, but as this was before there were any stalking laws, there was not a lot they could do. They told my parents to call back if he tried anything. My dad then called a friend of his from back in the day, who happened to be a cop. For the next month, my dad's friend escorted me to and from school. Suddenly, life as I knew it came screeching to a halt. I couldn't walk to school alone, I couldn't play outside, I couldn't walk to 7 to 11. When access to me was completely denied, things escalated. It was around this time he began threatening my sister as well. Then one afternoon my sister, 2 of my brothers, my mom and I were all in the kitchen. One of my brothers saw a glimpse of someone in the garage. They'd seen him too. Dr. Ramsey came bolting out of the garage, my brothers chasing after him.
I remember thinking, I'm about to beat this bitch up.
When you're a baker and your worst nightmare comes true. Here's a wedding cake that I made for a customer. The arrangement was that the bride's cousin was to collect the cake from me and take it to the wedding the next day. She came to me, collected the cake, put it in the car and drove off. Everything was fine. At 1 a.m. I received this message.
On the way back home, I picked someone up and gave them the cake to hold. They didn't hold it properly. When I looked back at the cake, it was falling apart.
The passenger fell asleep whilst holding the cake, and the cake literally fell out of his hands. So this is what I was dealing with, guys. I couldn't actually believe it. I was devastated. I agreed to fix the cake as it is a wedding cake and I didn't want the bride to be absolutely distraught on her day. So here I am having to fix the cake. I literally had to take this cake apart and start all over again. I thought there's no way of fixing this. I'm gonna actually have to make the sponges again, but I didn't have time. The wedding was at 11 a.m. and I had literally an hour and a half to do this. So I had to flip the cake over, put it on a flat surface, and then buttercream the whole cake again and literally start from scratch. My heart was beating. I had so much anxiety and I just didn't know if this was possible. So here I am now tackling the top tier. The cake obviously was a bit shorter than the original, but what else was I supposed to do? I was running out of time at this point, so I had to just do what I had to do. So I've now stacked the cakes. It was beginning to look a bit like it was before, but obviously nowhere near what it looks like in the beginning. So I'm using hot water here just to smooth out the buttercream and using my palette knife to fix the cake. The cake had a stencil on it, so I decided to reattach that stencil even though the cake hadn't set properly, but I just tried my luck. And actually, I was quite pleased with how the stencil came out. So now I was adding the sprinkles and then adding back the fake flowers. Now it was starting to come alive and I was beginning to breathe a sigh of relief. And there we go, guys. With a bit of perseverance and positivity, this is how it looked.
So apparently y'all like these videos of me making shit, so here I am, making a chocolate on chocolate on chocolate cake. So all of my cakes are 4 layers, and the filling's 3 layers. I fill it with a stabilized whipped cream, which is fucking delicious. And the outside is my new buttercream. I used to do an American buttercream, but now I use a mock Swiss meringue. And it is also fucking delicious. What I'm drizzling on the cake is a simple syrup. It's just sugar and water. It helps keep the cake moist. And no, it does not make it soggy, so don't come at me for that. Once I stack the cake, I throw it in the fridge for about 10-15 minutes to just help it set up so that when I put on this crumb coat, it doesn't move or wobble around. So that's what I'm doing here, throwing on a crumb coat, and then I put it back in the fridge. And then I made these little chocolate sails. For the top of the cake, I just spread it around on some parchment and just crumple the parchment and move it until I feel like it looks good. And then I threw some score bits on that. And then I popped it into the fridge. And then I grabbed the cake and I'm going to put the final coat of icing on it to make it nice and smooth and pretty. This process can sometimes take me quite a while because I'm a perfectionist. And yes, I know I'm using my offset spatula kind of backwards, but it's just the way I've always done it, so that's how I do it. It was kind of late in the evening when I was finishing up this cake, so I just decided that I was done for the night and that I would finish it up in the morning, which happens quite often when running a business. And sometimes things don't go right, and you're just like, I've had enough, I need to go to bed. So I finished this up, threw it in the fridge, and then I put the chocolate drip on it in the morning. So here I am, just drizzling it around. I see a lot of people use a spoon and drizzle the chocolate on, but the piping bag works better for me, so that's what I use. And then I put it all on the top and smooth it out. And then I grabbed that chocolate sail that I made, and I broke it into like 2 pieces, because I thought that would look good. Put the first one in and put a dowel behind it so it stays up. And then the second one I tried to put in and it broke. And sometimes this happens. So I just worked with what I had and it actually turned out really good, I think. So then I put a happy birthday sign in it. And then I topped it with some more buttercream. And I had some pieces of Kit Kat and Lindor, all of the good chocolates. And I also sprinkled on a little bit more score bits till I thought the cake looked good. I actually make a lot of these chocolate drip cakes. They're really popular, so every time I make one, I kind of make them a little bit different. But this is today's chocolate cake.
My family almost had to fight at Disney World. This particular trip, my cousin brought her kids and they'd never been to Disney World, so they begged to see the fireworks show. Since everyone in my direct family is like an adult or a teenager, we usually skip it, but we went ahead and did it. And if you've ever been, you know there's thousands of people that pack in front of the castle to watch the fireworks. So we got there an hour early. As the time went by, more and more people packed in. We were shoulder to shoulder with all these different families, and everyone was talking, laughing, having a great time. During all of this, our family and the other families, we made sure that everyone could see, all the kids could see, no one was standing in front of someone that was shorter than them. And then 10 minutes before the show was supposed to start, the sun is going down. You can hardly see. Like I said, we're shoulder to shoulder. This family starts squeezing through all of these people. It was 3 adults, 2 children, and they had a giant stroller. But we're all at Disney World. Who cares? We're all feeling good. So, we're trying to step aside and let them slide through, even though it's nearly impossible. But these people stopped directly in front of my family. When I tell you, our noses were literally in their backs. My little sister had someone standing directly in front of her, and so she made the comment to me like, oh, I stepped aside to let them by. I didn't know they were going to stop right in front of me. Now I can't see. And then the other families around us started making comments too. And then this one lady who we'd been talking to the whole time, she literally straight up told him like, hey, we've been here an hour. All of these kids could see, and now you guys are standing right in front of them. Like, that's not right. So that family grumbled and they finally decided to leave. And like I said, it was nearly impossible to let people slide by you at this point, but they were pushing through, trying to get out. And the one girl that was standing in front of my sister, she turns around and says, if one more person says something, I'm gonna have to smack the shit out of them. I already knew that she said that because she heard what my little sister said to me. So I was kind of in shock for a second. And then all of a sudden my husband was like, oh, okay. Kind of saying like, I dare you. This girl, I don't know if she's a teenager or a young adult, I couldn't really tell, but she swings around angrily and she's like, I'm gonna get my brother to come kick your ass. Meanwhile, I'm just still in shock because I'm like, oh my God, are we gonna fight? If we fight, are we gonna get banned from Disney World? I mean, that would be horrible because I actually like coming here. He then tells her much more calmly than I expected, because I literally looked up at him like, what are you doing? And he was like, okay, go get him. So my head is like swiveling around looking for her brother because he kind of was a big guy. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. But he's like way up ahead of her, carrying a baby, pushing a stroller, and struggling to get out of the crowd. So I was like, whew, good God. Before she can finish like her rant that she's going on, the family that had been standing behind us that was so nice, the husband and wife literally just stepped in front of her and like she couldn't even see us anymore. So she finally just walked away. But after the fireworks were over and we had like an after hours pass, so we were staying a little bit later, I was on high alert. Like, I was looking everywhere. I was like, oh my God, if this family pops up somewhere, like, are we gonna have to fight them? Because I'm gonna be real.